we're going to learn how to play the Celtic strategy game called Fidchell. Now, Fidchell starts with an empty board, and each player should have 27 pawns to place. You can place pawns on any intersection between two lines. So that's here and here and here, here. Wherever two lines meet, you can place a pawn. And the goal of Fidchell is, this is the center stone, and this is the outer edge. The goal is to make an uninterrupted chain, a contiguous chain from the inside to the outside. So you want to link the outside ring to the middle stone in an uninterrupted chain. And you can start in either direction. It doesn't have to be from the inside out. It can be from the outside in. It doesn't matter as long as it's uninterrupted. So players take turns placing. Most of the time you'll probably want to start by placing in the middle just so that you can guarantee access to the center stone. Not always. Depends on your strategy. Take turns placing pieces. Now, another important part about Fidchell is that you can capture each other's pawns. So, let's say bronze places right here, too close to marble. They weren't paying attention. Marble, if you sandwich an enemy pawn between two of yours, you get to capture that enemy pawn, and you get to go again. So marble gets a second turn in a row. They could place where bronze was, or they can place somewhere else if they want to. You don't have to replace that pawn, so a captured pawn is removed from the game forever. The bronze player doesn't get to replace this one later. It's gone. So, as you can imagine, in some circumstances, it would be possible to do a double capture. So, for example, right here, if marble were to use their turn to place right here, they captured both of these bronze pieces because they sandwiched them both. And then they get to go again. And if you capture another pawn with your second move, with your second turn in a row, then you get a third turn in a row, and so forth. So you can see how a chain reaction could happen. And that quite often does happen in late game when there's a lot of pieces on the board all over the place. One will be taken, and that'll cause a chain reaction. So that's where you can unravel someone's plans. It's happened many times to me where I'm almost done with my chain, but I get one captured, and they just take apart my chain one at a time. It's quite frustrating, but that's what I love about Fidchell, is that sometimes you'll be winning and then losing and then winning and then losing, and it's very rare that there's a clear winner from the get-go. So, like I said, you have to make a chain from the middle to the outside. This does not have to be a straight line. It can wind all around. It can get kind of crazy as long as it's uninterrupted, as long as there's no empty spaces in between your chain. So this one would, if this were the way that marble was going to win, they would have to fill in every space between the center and the outside in order for it to be a chain. And once more, it doesn't have to be straight. I just did that to show you, but it can wind around. Now, that is the first phase of Fidchell. Fidchell is played in two phases, and the second phase is quite chaotic and very fun. So, players take turns placing pawns, all 27, down. Once a player reaches their 27th pawn, they place their last pawn. If no one has won by then, if the game is still going by the time they run out of pawns to place, then they start the movement phase. Now, the movement phase works like this. In the movement phase, a pawn can move. The pawns can start moving around. So this bronze pawn, for example, he could move as far as he wants along one of these lines, these straight lines, or on a circular line. You can move along straight lines or circular lines as far as you want, and you just can't jump over another pawn, obviously. So you can move as far as you want as long as you're unobstructed. So then players take turns moving their pawns around. And the reason why that is so chaotic is because it's really hard to think in straight lines and circular lines and keep yourself safe. For example, this marble player, maybe he's almost done completing his chain. He doesn't realize that this bronze player, for his turn, he can circle all the way around this circle, sandwich, interrupt that chain, place one of his pawns there to keep that chain interrupted. So that is very, very difficult to plan against. That's why it's a totally different strategy. It's almost like two games in one, because once you get to the second phase, you need a completely different strategy to defend yourself against your enemy's moves. The most important thing also is that in the second phase only, the center stone is hostile to everybody. That means that you can sandwich sandwich enemy pawns against the center, as if it were one of your own. So, for example, let's say bronze controls all 4 of the center spaces. Marble doesn't even have access to the center, so marble can't even win at this point. All marble has to do is bring a pawn down here, sandwich bronze against the middle, take him out, and place his. And now marble has access to the center. So as you can see, if you get locked out of the center, you just have to survive until the second phase, and then you have to just fight your way to the center, and you can sandwich people against the center. Either player can do that. But just remember that the center stone is hostile against all players only during the second phase, not during the first phase. So that is how you play Fidchell.